Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. If you have not seen last week's episode, which was about Enrique Rios and Elijah Moore, definitely go listen to that. Um, Other than that, all of the links that I used for this video will be down below, as always, and so will be a link to a Google Docs form so you can submit case suggestions. If there's anything that you want me to cover, please go there. I do want to say that this video and probably the next 3 or 4 are going to be pretty short, and that is because for each of these next ones, I could find little to nothing about each of these people or about their case, and it's so sad because they should definitely be talked about more. It's so frustrating. So this one today is going to be shorter, but it is so strange. It's pretty perplexing. And today we're going to be talking about Lori Ann Boffman, who was acting erratically before she vanished. It's just perplexing. But let's kind of get into it. I don't want to waste your time. So Lori was last seen on August 5th, 2006 at 6:30 p.m. when she left her home and took a drive in her vehicle. She did not take a purse or identification with her. Additionally, Lori was taking medication for diabetes. Her vehicle was found the next morning at 5:30 a.m. in the next town over from her home. She resided in Liberty Township, Ohio, and the vehicle was found in Youngstown, Ohio. The vehicle appeared to have been in an accident and was abandoned. Lori has not been seen or heard from since that incident, and she wears her hair in dreadlocks, she wears glasses and has a scar on her abdomen, and she may also go by the name of Lori Ann Stubbs. And I do want to say that I could find almost no pictures of Lori or just about anyone in this case in general, so I do apologize. It's so frustrating, but I will leave a picture of her and her information on the screen. So Lori Ann Boffman was a 45-year-old mother of three living in Liberty Township, Ohio. She was reportedly a very nice lady who loved her children very much. She was not the type of person to run away from her family. So when she went missing on August 4th, 2016, that was super weird. And she was also having an amazing day on this day. She had just won $1,000 from the lottery and decided she wanted to spend some of it on a going back to college party for her daughter. At around midnight, she went with an unidentified male to a grocery store. There she pre-ordered over $500 worth of food for the party and planned for it to be picked up the next day. I'm sorry, she did not go missing on August 4th. It was a couple days later. I'm so sorry. But prior to her going missing, she was having a great time. And I would also like to say that there's no mention of who this man could be. I didn't see a name. He was just an unidentified male. I didn't know if he was like her brother, a friend. There was no name, no identification of this man, nothing. And so I have no idea if he could potentially be relevant or not. So, the following day, August 5th, Lori attended the party for her daughter. But her family was worried about her since she seemed to be acting off that day. But they just assumed it was a side effect of her new diabetes and anti-anxiety medications, and they wrote it off. Maybe it was just her side effects. Maybe she was just acting a little funky towards it, They didn't think anything of it. But at some point, Lori decided she was going to give her an unidentified friend a ride home. And here's the crazy thing. Apparently, okay, so they're at the dinner for her daughter, right? And this friend is with her. How does nobody know this friend? Did nobody get told the name of this person? Was nobody told just who they were, where they're from, where they work? Nobody came forward and said this is what the person looked like? Nothing. And that gives me a weird feeling, honestly. Because how are you going to attend someone's dinner for their daughter and just not know who they are? You know what I'm saying? It's really weird. But she decided she was going to give her unidentified friend a ride home. And it's likely that she also intended on picking up the food that she had ordered the previous night, since it hadn't been picked up yet. Before she left, her family noted that Lori had been crying, but she never gave a reason why. that is also kind of weird. I mean, it could, I guess, maybe be also a side effect of the medication. You're just acting a little weird. Maybe your hormones or whatever is thrown off balance. I would still inquire a little bit more. I don't want to make it seem like I'm judging her friends and family. I'm sure that there's a lot more information to this case that we're just not being told for whatever reason. Maybe they do know who this person is. Maybe they know more than what I was able to find. I just want to say that I do find it very weird. Um, but eventually she left with the previously mentioned friend. But when she left, she forgot to bring her purse and identification with her, and she would never come back for them. Her friend would later speak to police and would say that Lori was driving extremely erratically. They said that she was swerving the car all over the road and driving very fast. And eventually it got to the point where her driving became so erratic, her friend asked Lori to pull over and let them out so that they could walk home instead. To which she obliged, and the friend walked home. And after letting her friend out of the car, she drove off and was never seen again. And that is what kind of makes me very suspicious of the friend. Not only are they the last person to have actually seen her, but this person is your friend, okay? This is supposed to be your friend. They're acting extremely weird, they're crying, they're erratic, they're driving very fast to the point where it's scaring you enough that you ask them to let you out so that you walk home. Are you not gonna, like, insist that they don't drive? Or are you gonna be like, hey, let me drive you home? Or let's call someone. You don't need to be driving me home and then drive yourself home. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's call someone else to give us a ride. Um, I don't know, maybe even call the cops and say, hey, she's acting a little funny. I don't know what's going on. Just in case. I don't know what else you could do, but I would not let my friend in that state when they're acting like they don't usually normally do, regardless if it's a possible side effect of their medication or not. I would not let them just drive off. If you are so scared to the point that you make yourself walk home because you don't want to be in the car, why are you letting your friend drive off like that? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what? I'm trying not to be judgmental of the family for not, like, stopping her and questioning her a little bit more, but I am very judgmental of this friend because I just don't understand how your friend is not in the correct mental state and is acting exactly so far out they're not acting like them that you just let them go. I don't get it. And she pulled over to let you out. What if you said, hey, why don't I drive us somewhere or we call someone else? Maybe if you had just rationalized with her a little bit. Is that a correct rationalized? Maybe you had just talked to her. I don't know. I'm very judgmental of this friend if you can't tell. It pisses me off. I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm being a little too harsh. I just I just don't get how you don't do something more. Cuz maybe you would have stopped her going missing. I don't know. And I'm not saying that that's definitive proof that this person has something to do with why she's missing. I just think that maybe if they had stopped her, I don't know if she had a mental break or whatever, but maybe they could have helped her. But let's just continue on. So the following morning, her car was found abandoned and still running, with the driver's door left open. It was found on the lawn of the local library and had minor damage from what police believe was a one-car accident. At some point, had also hit a tree. Besides her glasses and some papers left on a seat, there were no signs of Lori, but neighbors did report hearing a commotion at around 3 a.m. the previous night, but nobody claimed to have seen anything. Lori was a loving mother and had not disappeared in the past, and despite clearly being in some sort of distress, her family does not believe she ran off. So her family doesn't think that she would just run away, and that if she did, she would have certainly returned home by now. There has been no activity on any of her bank accounts, and no confirmed sightings of her have ever been reported. Police have not ruled out the possibility of foul play, though. Some have speculated that she may have been the victim of a kidnapping, but there is also no evidence that foul play was involved. Most people seem to agree that Lori most likely suffered a mental break and ended up lost somewhere where she succumbed to the elements. And many have speculated that her newly prescribed medications likely made her already deteriorating mental state even worse. So, there is a theory, and it's the medication theory, and that is what we're going to talk about next. So, people in Lori's life, as well as true crime communities, can easily believe that her new medication could have caused her erratic behavior and perhaps her disappearance. She was on anti-anxiety medication, and they are known to have some side effects. Those on the medication can experience fatigue, sleepiness, and slower mental function. There are multiple prescriptions, and the side effects differ depending on the exact type of pill someone takes. Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Temazepam can cause dry mouth, muscle weakness, nausea, confusion, and irritability. There is a high risk for abuse and addiction. Diazepam can cause drowsiness, dizziness, I don't know why I say it like that. Memory issues, nausea, dry mouth, slurred speech, and blurred vision. Alprazolam, also known as Xanax, has some of the same side effects, but with insomnia, poor balance, and trouble concentrating. Clonazepam is known to increase suicidal thoughts and behavior. If Lori was on any of these medications, it most likely would not have caused her emotional stress, but could be the explanation behind her out-of-control driving. Any diabetes medication Lori was taking could have caused nausea, diarrhea, tiredness, or weakness, problems with breathing, abnormal muscle pain, and vomiting or stomach trouble, skin rashes, weight gain, shakiness, sweatiness, dizziness, and confusion. For people with diabetes and anxiety, dealing with both of them can be tricky. Those with diabetes are more likely to have anxiety when it comes to keeping up with their insulin and taking their blood sugar. With both conditions, Boffman could have experienced restlessness, feeling on edge, difficulty with concentrating, and experiencing a blank mind, being irritated, muscle tension, problems with sleep, and becoming easily tired. Again, this could definitely explain Boffman's behavior after she left the party, but none of these side effects explain her crying before leaving. Leaving her purse, ID, and all of her medication at home could have been due to the mind and memory issues she was probably experiencing. And that is the theory that most people have been able to come up with as to why she was acting the way she is. And honestly, I agree. Like, that friend is definitely suspicious. 100%. And maybe they could have had something to do with it, which is why maybe they said they weren't ruling out foul play. Because I still just can't get over how you just don't stop your friend from leaving erratically. But I also think the whole thing with her medication definitely had something to do with it. I just wish we had more information. As far as I know, we've never been able to find her. And it's just like, how far could she have truly gone, you know? So there's like, anything could have happened to her. Because how could she have just wandered that far and nobody's found her body? You know what I'm saying? But there's also no information about if somebody has something to do with it. Who was it? So I don't quite know what I believe. I do think her medication has to do with how she was acting, but I don't know if that has to do with why she went missing. Like, I think maybe someone knew she was in a vulnerable state. And maybe she got into an accident, got out, was trying to find help, and someone took advantage of that situation. I don't know. I can't say for sure that I think that the medication is 100% the reason why she's missing. But that was the story of Lori Ann Boffman. She's still not been found. There's no updates on her case whatsoever. It's just frustrating that there's just so little on her. But I will leave my links down below so that you can read what I did, and hopefully maybe you can come up with something else. And hopefully Lori, whether dead or alive, can be found so that her family can have closure. It's just so sad. Her daughter doesn't know what happened. Her children don't know what happened. Her family, just in general, doesn't know what happened. But yeah, I'm going to have my links down below, as well as a link to the case suggestions form. I'm sorry that this video was so much shorter. But I felt like Lori's story was important to tell you about, because I've never heard of it, and maybe you haven't either. So thank you for listening to her story, and I'm sorry to her family if they come across this. And I hope that you guys get the closure that you deserve. Thank you for listening to her story, guys. I'll see you next week.